guys, welcome to the second episode of Sales Spin. Yes, we now have a name, and this is the second episode because last week you gave so much love to our first episode that we now have a page on Instagram and LinkedIn. What is it called, Rahul?
YouTube too.
Oh, yeah, even YouTube. Yes, what is it called? Talk about it, Rahul.
Alright, so Instagram handle, YouTube handle, LinkedIn handle, everything you will find in the comment box. So feel free to subscribe and show us the love just like we did last time. Yeah, we got about 3,000 views, about 400
He has a t-shirt, by the way, which says "Don't follow me." So why should people follow?
Oh, that's because this was I bought this before we were famous.
But at the same time, he's wearing a t-shirt with hugs. So
Yeah, mine is very cool.
yeah, show a lot of love and hugs to these people. As well.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you can't see, it's a Hugsy t-shirt. Any friends, lover, yeah, feel free to subscribe. So without further ado, we have Sayantan Mukherjee here from LinkedIn. I know Sayantan. It's a funny story. Sayantan. I was one of Sayantan's clients. I was at Chorley, and he was trying to sell us, and he actually sold us. So pretty good out there. And he's been a friend. I think we've hung out. We've had multiple instances where we hang out after the work as well. So pretty interesting stories out there.
Sayantan is from LinkedIn, and we've
Yeah,
made this video for LinkedIn. So I think
I
that's
loved the LinkedIn bit. Right?
because you're gonna push it for us. You're gonna push it for us.
Yeah, if this video is not successful because of him, not because it was like
No,
a
it's
bad.
because of LinkedIn.
Great. So Sayantan here is, as we just mentioned, he is from LinkedIn, and therefore we have a great topic today. This episode is going to specifically talk about negotiations.
Yeah.
Yes. LinkedIn. Sayantan here has negotiated with companies that both Rahul and I have worked with in the past, and I think he's the best person to talk about negotiations. Sayantan, can you tell us the most interesting negotiation that you have had with any of our companies or probably any other company that if you want to name them, it's great because that's going to spark more controversy. It's going to be fun for us.
Yeah, we gotta tag the company.
Yeah. So before I get into the example, right, let me just take a step back and talk about negotiation for a second. That's okay. And I've been in sales for 10 years, and right now I'm an account executive, right? So obviously negotiation is a big part of my role. But if you were to open up my IDP at this point, and for everyone out there, IDP is my individual development program, right? So things that I want to get better at. The first skill set which is noted there is negotiations. I identified negotiation as my weak link about 5 years back, and it's still, I would say, the thing that I need to get better at, right? And I'll tell you why. I think of all the skill sets that you would go through as an AE or an RM, negotiation is something which is most dependent on your personality and on your client's personality and the culture of where you're selling. So in India, where people love to negotiate, right? You go to the bazaars, you go to shops, you go anywhere, you just have that mindset of negotiating for 1 rupee, 5 rupee, 10 rupees. You can imagine that. Yeah, because you sell it to the US market, Rahul. Welcome to the world of India. So in India, even if you're selling to CXOs in big organizations, you actually end up haggling for 100 rupees.
Wow.
And that's something which shocked me. And
Then you're selling the product for 1 lakhs.
yeah, and even pros and cons.
Wow.
Right? So as someone who's always struggled with negotiations, because personally I hate negotiating. Right? So I know if I want to buy something, I go there and buy something. Either I have the money to take it or I don't have the money to take it. I won't be to the shopkeeper, can you give me a discount of 50 rupees or 100 rupees. But my wife, even if she can afford it and she knows she wants to take it, she will just end up spending another 10 minutes on.
I think it's a sense of pride, maybe.
I don't know what it is.
But yeah, that I haggled and I got that 50 rupees discount probably at the back of the mind. That's a very small victory.
Yeah, and for this reason, negotiations always used to make me very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So with a lot of simulations and practice and role plays and educating myself, I've reached at a point now where I'm not uncomfortable sitting in front of a CFO or a head of procurement. But it's definitely not my favorite part of the sales cycle, right? But it's something that when you reach to that point, you're also excited because you know that all the work that you have put in through the value bit has substantiated, and now they're sort of looking to buy it from you, right? So there's a certain amount of excitement as well.
It's actually interesting to hear when you said that for negotiations it depends a lot on a person's personality.
Yeah.
Right? And then you said that over role plays over the time you actually kind of develop that personality, or was it like inbuilt in the beginning? And you still say it's not your
Yeah.
My favorite part. So.
Yeah, so I've not developed my personality. As I said, I still hate negotiations. But what I've realized is it's part of a job, right? So if I have to sign enterprise deals, I can't sort of shy away from the fact that I need to get better at it, right? So in my personal space, I will still not go and negotiate with people.
This gentleman is that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for my job, it's something that I look at it as a skill set that I have to build, but it doesn't necessarily have to be something that gets ingrained in my personality. Like, for example, doing a deep discovery and being genuinely curious about clients is something that I've taken from and learned from and tried to inculcate that in my personality as well. So now if I go and meet a random person, I would show genuine empathy, curiosity, and that's something that I like, right? But I don't think that negotiations or getting better at handling with people is something that I would want to ingrain, right? You were talking of examples, right? So I'll give you a couple of two examples.
Yeah, we want to hear the weirdest negotiation story, probably where like, well, maybe something like where you said one of the clients had you for $100. Or maybe small, or maybe.
I'll be candid, $100.
I know.
Like, the reason why you're saying that, right? Because that has to say.
Yeah, because I think the people want to hear that cringe stories or maybe stories which will make them feel like, oh my god, this happens.
Yeah. Yeah, so I actually have a story in mind. I can't take the name of the organization, they still partner with us. But it's quite a large organization, India headquartered company, right? And their turnover would be somewhere in the range of 800 mils.
Right? He's talking about my ex-company.
There are 800 mil companies in India and they are in the captive digitization space, right? So they do a lot of BPMs and they're big on the healthcare sector and a lot of stuff.
Right.
So we were working on a deal. They wanted to enable their sales team with Sales Navigator, which was a product I was dealing with, a product that I ended up selling to you as well. And everything was done, right? So all the functional leaders, they found value with it. The DM, they loved the product and everything. And then the ball went to the procurement squad. And it was tipped to be a 100K deal, right? Now, the good thing here is I knew that the procurement had very little leeway to negotiate with me because my champions had told me that we are going to buy this for sure. So they also knew that, I also knew that. Right?
They knew that you knew.
Yeah. Obviously, they knew that I have like very strong connections and know that this won't go away just because of the pricing.
And you knew that they knew that you know.
Yeah. So that's why I said it made very interesting, right? So when I went into the negotiating room, the head of procurement, after the pleasantries and everything, he told me, Sayantan, I know you know a lot of people in our organization, you've done a very good job, but now we have to start afresh, right? So that's where typically the alarm bells start ringing. Because what he's telling you is, boss, I know you've done a good job, you know a lot of people in my organization, but it comes to signing of the contract, you have to sort of start the whole process again. Right? You have to give me something, right? I don't care what value the salespeople are going to get from the product and what's going to happen and all that. What are you giving me in terms of financials, right? So imagine, and that was like a 6 months sales cycle.
Is he talking about right or just discount?
No, right. I've had, unfortunately, that experience as well, but that was...
Okay.
Is that unfortunate, really? Like, were you offered a bribe?
No, he was asked to maybe give a bribe.
Yeah, you think that were you sort of asked to give a bribe? No, and honestly, I've never come across, to be fair, I've never come across that scenario while selling to corporates or enterprise, right? The only time I faced that situation was in the formative years of my career while I was selling in government.
Okay.
Right? That was a separate.
We love BJP, we love
We need to
everybody.
beep it out.
Yeah.
We'll
have to beep it
Yeah, and BJP were not in power at that point.
I respect it. We love these comments.
not getting. I think, I have to ask this, and actually to you both, because you have been into sales for a long period of time than I have. And it's actually it's a coincidence, because this morning, so I share my flat with a sales guy, he's been into sales for 5 years now, and he told me a hack about negotiation, right? I'm sorry, man, like, he told me not to leak that, but I think this will sell. And tell me this is true. What he does and what I used to do also was, I used to go to a client with whom we are going to close a deal, and he told me that whatever be your price, you have to blur it out. You have to just. So he said, after you have spoken, given the commercials, don't speak. Whoever is the first person to speak loses.
Yeah, I've actually heard this. I don't know if you
I've heard of this for sure. Like different people, I don't know, probably said it first.
Yeah.
Maybe it was Jordan Belfort or somebody. I don't know. I probably read some Instagram from that. Could be. I don't know. I've never been to like a lot of negotiations.
I've not thought about it as well. I'll tell you the hack that it's not even a hack, right? It's a very simple philosophy and something that I've improved thankfully over a couple of years. Now, earlier when I would walk into a negotiation table, I would be so excited to close the deal. I would lay all my cards out at one go.
That's
Right?
not right.
That's not what it should be, especially in India.
I think probably you're right. Probably I'm not seeing the same sort of situation in the US. I'm not seeing people in the US like probably haggling or negotiating so much. They would probably give a price, give it or take it. I mean, it's not like the way in India. You know what? They're probably fighting over like 5%.
Yeah, and there'll be like 4 to and fro's. Right?
Yeah. So too much.
Yeah.
I think even as Indian, I think I tend to do that at times. To be honest, but maybe not to that extent. Maybe
That's where SDR directors sell to US markets when he's buying in India.
maybe we're not dealing with that amount of money. Maybe I'm not dealing with crores, right? For example,
You're dealing in dollars, Rahul.
No. What I'm saying is, for example, let's say if I'm trying to book a travel, book a ticket to travel agent and he's quoting me a price, I would want to get a better price. I would try to somehow pressurize him. Hey, you know what? I can always go to your competitor. He's offering you a better deal, and even though I can give him proofs or not, I'm sure there's at the back of the mind if he has to make a sale, and I can take advantage of that. So I would. Why would I not?
And actually, the interesting part is all the procurement teams in mid-sized or large organizations today are actually trained on that. So how do you make the life of salespeople more difficult, right? And similarly, we are also trained on how do you make the life of procurement people more difficult.
But I really think that it's because of this that we Indians are better in sales as compared to people who are selling abroad, like people SDR.
Yeah.
Because even before sales happening, even before we learning sales in organizations, I think we are taught that at home.
The mentality, right?
Right? Like our moms are the best
Sales
teaching us. If you have to talk about today's topic, negotiation.
I'd probably defer there. My parents did not teach me sales at all. And again, nothing against them. Yeah, that's what it was. So my mom never haggled with the sabji wala, never. So, and I think I learned that from my father would probably not indulge in a lot of money matters, my mom would. And my mom would, if the sabji wala is asking double the price, she would not even care to ask why is it so expensive. He would just give that money. And I think I probably learned that.
Yeah, he's the
Food
first
charge
guy.
is the life of that salespeople in make my trip so uncomfortable. I want a better
This is
price.
the first time I'm hearing an Indian guy say this.
Of course, so when I started spending money, that was my parents' money. When I started earning money on my own, that's when I realized the worth of the money. And that's when you realize, okay, money is important.
Do you?
Yeah, I mean, that's how I learned the hard way, right? So probably, it's like I said, maybe all the great life lessons you guys had as a kid, I did not have it.
I wouldn't call it great.
I also didn't have it.
Because we didn't have money, so I'm not great.
So it's not about having money or not. It's about, like, for example, if my mom had 1,000 bucks and she had to, let's say, buy 20 kg worth of the vegetable, 20 kg vegetable, she would probably get whatever, 50 rupees per kg, right? Your mom would probably get the same for 22 kgs, right? You get the logic, right? So you got more. You got to understand that. I learned that the hard way. I had to read books. I had to talk to people. I had to do all that stuff.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I also
So my
learned
life was
that
easy,
lesson,
dude.
and I don't think I've learned that lesson yet because I don't negotiate, right? But let me just sort of close the loop on what we started off with, right? And that story that I was showing. So the biggest lesson that I've learned around negotiation is from my manager, one of my managers. He told me that we have to approach negotiations. The outcome has to be that you have to walk away with a win-win, right? Where you don't drop the balls and where the customer feels that they've also gotten value out of this conversation. Right? So what we ended up doing in that deal that I was talking about, it was a 100K deal, right? And initially we were talking about 12 months. Now, I actually, in the product that I was selling, LinkedIn has a very transparent pricing policy. So all these things that a lot of salespeople would do, they would give like one cost and then they know that they have 40% to play with or 20% to play with and all that. LinkedIn doesn't do that, right? So it was like one standard cost across customers. You have certain leverages around the service component of it. So what we did was we spoke to them that you are talking about a 12 months contract, and in a 12 months contract, this is what the best that we can do. But you know that this is a product that your sales people are going to use for the next 3, 4, 5 years, right? Now, if you talk of doing a 24 months contract with us, I have a multi-year discount which I can give to you. So that gives you a price benefit. But more than that, what it does it gives you your visibility into your budgets, right? So as a CFO, you know walking into next year what's your spend on LinkedIn is going to look like. Also, because we are expanding the duration of the contract, I can up the service entitlements for you. So there are various service entitlements, right? So you start from a basic, then gold, silver, whatever. So whatever they were entitled for, the moment they went into the multi-year frame, their service entitlements would be up. So we actually didn't negotiate on the price.
Okay, you gave additional service.
Yeah, so we ended up signing a multi-year contract. So it was a win-win for me, right? So instead of a 12 months contract, we ended up writing a 24 months contract, right? So overall, I ended up with a bigger deal.
Really?
From the client's side, they're thinking, okay, my annual spend still reduced by maybe 10%,
Right.
but
Which is true.
True, it's true. And he'll go back and tell to his CEO that, boss, I have better service entitlements, right? We have visibility into our budgets. And I think this makes a lot of sense. And we signed that deal. So I think the biggest hack that I've learned around negotiation is you have to think just not about yourself. You have to think about the client. And what is it that you can, and it has to be a middle path, right? And this will only happen when the client has to buy your solution. If you're still at that iffy point, when the client is not sure if they'll buy your solution or not, you can't have these conversations. But if the value bid is 100% crystal clear, it's a sign off from the functional end, then this is the sort of conversation that you would have. It has to be a win-win, and once it is, the deal would follow.
Awesome. So great.
That
Great
brings
having
us-
you, Sayantan. I think if you thought this was over, we still have 120 seconds, and what we're going to do is bring something very interesting. We have 9 rapid fire questions for you, and you have 5 seconds to answer each question. Okay?
Awesome.
All right. And if you choose to pass, you can. However,
You
I
are
will-
correct, Joe. Who am I? Let me be like
He gets a hamper or something. He gets what?
Yeah, you don't get a hammer. You probably get to go home, and you probably get to take this part if you want. It's not mine. All right. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, 5 seconds. I don't have a timer, but yeah, we'll probably keep on imaginary. Okay. What color is your toothbrush?
Orange.
If you were not working with LinkedIn, where would you be?
Gartner.
Who's your all-time favorite sales leader?
Naveen Rana.
Okay. Are you a morning or night person?
Night.
Describe yourself in 3 words.
Lazy, crazy, happy.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how cool are you and why?
3, because I don't think I'm cool, I'm hot.
Oh, nice.
Okay, nice. One most underrated feature about LinkedIn.
Culture.
If you got $1 million right now, what would be your first thought to do with it?
Resign and just travel.
Okay. One thing you hate about sales.
Nothing.
Okay, awesome, great. You don't get a hamper. I'm not cutting over. So and we don't have the budget either. Yeah, but if you wanna donate, I'll probably put my
GPay link.
GPay link. And if you do that, it's probably next guest we have. We can probably have like a coffee or something. Like I said, take this month. Yeah, but the mic is mine. It's not. All right, great having you, Sayantan. Thank you so much for being our first ever,
Yes.
Honored.
host.
Thank you.
Despite the COVID, I think I can shake hands. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.